Great. Good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:10 and 40 seconds. And that it is Tuesday, September 9th, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it because my bull mastiff Chauncey is at my side. It's also, and he's a staunch conservative. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga, and a company we're going to feature today, Basiliga Hospitality, like George Vanesky, Mountaintop, Francis Pantucci, Clarksville, Robert Booth, Sweet Valley, Kenneth Nichols, Mayfield, Joseph Smalley, Pittston, Gene Tronsu, Wanami, and Joseph Haliburda, Hanover Township, the United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, incredible, irreplaceable founding fathers that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution, it ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter what they do with it. Because we have the freedom to listen or not. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, with our commitment to common sense intact, we gaveled order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the morning. Is that fair enough? I think it is. So, I was listening to the morning show, which I do. And, there's not a lot we agree on. And they were talking about, in the last little segment, they're talking about Florida's passage of a law which gives parents the right, and RFK and the entire sort of Make America Healthy Again trend, that parents have the choice of which vaccines their children receive. And then the COVID thing comes up. Well, I beg you, this is the difference between the left-thinking mind and common sense. I challenge you to tell me what we did right in the COVID crisis. All created by the government, the crisis. Oh, and pharmaceutical companies who made a fortune, and teachers' unions and the rest who benefited or perceived they did. That's nothing was done right. Literally nothing. And I noted this. You're talking about, well, you got to think about the other person. And remember that idiotic argument And it was brought up again this morning as though it was still valid. The COVID shot did not prevent you from getting or spreading COVID. How is that conveniently forgotten? We played Rachel Maddow and other left-wingers. You know, it'll end right here. COVID will end right here, right with you, if you get the vaccine. Well, it's not a vaccine because it didn't vaccinate anybody. It didn't prevent the disease. It didn't prevent the spread. Fauci famously said, what? I got 8 COVID shots and I got COVID 8 times. Like, their insanity knows no bounds. So you've got to remember this. For the left, it was, and remember what we say at the beginning of every show. Unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort. Now, many people didn't benefit from lockdowns and all this stupid, idiotic stuff that we did. But see, they wanted comfort. They wanted to be comfortable, like, okay, that person's taken care of. I don't have to worry about them and their freedom. And then there's, of course, benefit or power. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it really crystallizes, and it reminds you that they don't learn. They don't adapt to new facts. They just ignore facts that are inconvenient to their previous worldview. And you got to remember this. That's why when we play, remember the song we play. The battle is over, but the war goes on. They're never going to change. It's what they do. And it all goes back to the government. So I want you to think of COVID. Think of the COVID shot. Now, I don't care what your position on it was, but what they essentially had a mandate. Not only for certain jobs where you'd get fired, and that was millions of people, by the way, but they had a mandate where to go in a restaurant. Remember that in New York City? You had to show your shot card. And it had no scientific basis. School shutdowns, no scientific basis. Stopping people from drinking at 10 o'clock at night and the other insane rules. No scientific basis. Completely invented, completely made up. And then people took advantage of it, like multi-billionaires. Under Joe Biden and his COVID rules, the largest transfer of wealth from working and middle-class people to the upper class and upper middle class occurred in the history of the United States. So you got to remember who benefited. And by the way, these are people that their worldview is, I'm uncomfortable with you having a gun. I'm uncomfortable with your freedom. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want you to have your freedom. I want the government to dictate. The problem is the government's always wrong. And I mean always. Please tell me an instance where it isn't. And we'll tear that apart if you actually believe that. It really comes in bas relief whenever you hear these conversations. Now, certain concessions were made on the morning show to mistakes, and everything wasn't done right. Well, no, nothing was done right. Literally nothing, and I challenge you to name something. Even Operation Warp Speed, Trump's initiative. First, he listened to the experts. And if you're watching on live stream, I'm doing the Tommy Boy, Chris Farley. What do they call that? The air quotes. Everything they did was wrong. It's so ridiculous and so awful. And by the way, they'll try to do it again. They didn't learn anything. They think they did the right. Well, it's impossible to think you did the right thing. They're ignoring fact, truth, and reality as they always do to pretend they did the right thing. Guys, it's important for us to always remember today's Democrat Party, which is owned, controlled, and directed by the lunatic left and the establishment by turns, is wrong about everything. Your Democrat candidates, and that's why I was so excited to have Senator Marty Flynn on to talk about keeping men and boys out of girls' locker rooms, sports, and bathrooms. I was excited to have him on. They're wrong about almost everything. By the way, they're wrong about everything as a political party with some minor defections. That's why the battle is so important. That's why it's so critical that we don't let off the gas. Why it's critical that the three insane Democrat operative Supreme Court justices be removed. I told you about the one. It's like Doherty, and we got WILK and Donahue as well. Doherty had a relative, maybe even the daughter of a Democrat judge in Lackawanna County, and still made a decision, didn't recuse himself from a decision stopping a woman named Brenda Sacco from being appointed by the judges, as per our home rule charter. Didn't recuse himself because of that connection. It's insane. Oh, somebody said, here's another great point to finish because I am over. I said, Bob, the ones that said, show me your shot card are the same ones against voter ID. Yes. Just remember that they're insane. That doesn't mean we love them any less. It just means that we've got to fight against them tooth and nail about everything all the way across the board. That's why Trump's the right guy at the right time, because he's attacking across the board on everything. That's why I played that little montage in the beginning of the program. So, yeah, they don't get it. Just remember that they don't understand. Well, they don't bother to understand because they're sentient human beings, the vast majority of them. They don't understand that they're wrong. When you had that guy speaking about in Union Square in New York City about Mondami. Socialism, government control has never worked, ever. And they'll do it again. Unbelievable. Yeah, that was the other subject this morning. Oh, yeah, the illegals, they're going after now that the Supreme Court said Trump could kick them out, they're going after people that look different. I walk around cities, everybody looks different. The hell are you even talking about? If they're illegal aliens, they're illegal aliens. And they shouldn't be here. If they're illegal alien criminals, they should be locked up fast and then deported. Oh, dear Lord. Anyway, just word to the wise, which the vast majority of you are. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. If you go to the Bloomsburg American Legion, outside there's a number of beautiful tributes, but one of them says, "What is a veteran?" Because it's not just about our World War II D-Day veterans. It's not just about the trenches of World War I. It's about all wars and peacetime veterans as well. And that stone says a veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Well, in Plains Township just a bit ago, at the American Legion post there, Quilt of Valor ceremony honored 3 veterans, and we're proud to talk about them today. George Vaneski of Mountaintop. He joined the U.S. Army in 1967, completing basic at Fort Jackson, North Carolina, and advanced infantry training at Fort Leavenworth, Missouri. He then attended Engineer Officer Candidate School in Virginia. 1968, deployed to Vietnam. He served as a combat engineer in the Central Highlands with the 4th Battalion, 4th Infantry Division, based in Pleiku. He would lead a platoon of 35 young soldiers, clearing jungle paths, affording safe landing zones for rescue and recovery missions. Honorably discharged in 1969, he then went and joined the U.S. Army National Guard, where he continued to serve this country as an ROT instructor at both Indiana University and Bloomsburg University. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel in 1991 and retired from the Army National Guard at Fort Indiantown Gap in 1995, concluding 28 years of dedicated service. His commendation including the Bronze Star with Valor, the Vietnamese Gallantry Cross, among others. George Vaneski. Francis Pantucci of Larksville. He enlisted in the United States Army in 1960. Completed his basic at Fort Dix, followed by advanced infantry training. 1961, he was assigned to Germany, where he served for 3 years operating fuel tankers. In 1964, reassigned to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he completed an 8-week artillery school program. After that, he was deployed to Vietnam with the 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment of the 4th Infantry Division. He operated M113 armored vehicles to navigate the dense thickets in Vietnam jungles. As Staff Sergeant, he was awarded the Bronze Star for meritorious service, as well as the Purple Heart Combat Infantry Badge. He returned to the U.S. and was stationed at Fort Meade, Maryland, where he completed 7 years of active duty, discharged in 1968. Francis Pantucci, Larksville. Robert Booth, Sweet Valley. Enlisted in the U.S. Army in 2000 and completed basic training, Fort Benning. He trained an 11 Bravo infantryman at Fort Riley, Kansas. Subsequently deployed to serve in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom as part of the war on terrorism. Although the typical term for infantrymen during these operations was 6 to 8 months, he continued to fulfill his duties in perilous conditions for 14 months. Returning to the U.S. after serving a total of 4 years in the U.S. Army, he was honorably discharged in 2004. His commendations and medals, including the Global War on Terrorism Medal, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom medals. Following the awarding of patriotic quilts to these 3 men, Becky Orlowski, Quilts of Valor chapter leader, remarked that the quilts stood as symbols of compassion, respect, and gratitude, offering comfort and solace to those who have served, creating a lasting memory of appreciation. The recipients, again, George Vanesky, Mountaintop, Francis Pantucci, Larksville, and Robert Booth of Sweet Valley. Our veterans this hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And Basiliga Hospitality. You know, if you're planning an event, there is no place better. Small event, family affair, major event, major corporate happenings. The Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township. Far Street Tavern in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Scranton Art House. I've been to a number of events there. All great. Atera 519. I was there as well. Sergei's, the nightclub. Awesome for an event. The Stegmeyer Mansion. Couldn't go there because there was a great event there last Saturday. Amazing space. And the Queen City Tavern in the main drag of Oliphant. They brought you these great veterans. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He says today sunny with a high of 75, 60 degrees outside our studios right now. Tonight partly cloudy down to 50. Wednesday partly cloudy with slight chance of a shower, 73 degrees. Thursday sunny, high of 73. It is chilly at night. I had to take Chauncey out at 2 o'clock. You know, you hear him stirring, and I'm telling you, I think he'd hang in there till the morning. But as an overall, I'm not gambling, okay? So I take him out at 2 o'clock. It was chilly. Not freezing, but chilly. Very fall-like temperatures, and I sort of love the fall. I love the heat, but I love the fall as well. All right. Well, we were fortunate in the last election to elect a guy by the name of Dave McCormick to be our United States Senator. And he has done such amazing things. Like, you want to talk about punching your weight and beyond? It's been incredible. The Energy and Innovation Conference that he convened, attended by the president and world business leaders, that committed over $93 billion in investment to Pennsylvania. Well, that was just the start. The Philly Shipyard, Hanwha, Dave McCormick, there. The McCormick Center, named after Dave McCormick's dad at Bloomsburg University. It reopened after 2 years. He just went and attended, they call it the Rose Garden Club. Some of the amazing renovations Trump has done to the White House. Dave McCormick was there with other top leaders. There was only a few of them. He's attacked anti-Semitism, along with Senator Fetterman. He just recently visited the Tobyhanna Army Depot. And then he was at the Scranton Army Ammunition Plant. He's everywhere, and he's having a monster impact as a freshman senator. It's incredible. Senator Dave McCormick, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show, Senator.
Hey, Bob. How are you? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Everything?
Sorry to hold you up, but there's so much to brag about that you're doing.
Please, don't stop.
I said I'll let him endure this because people don't hear all of this all the time. And I want them to know that in addition to amazing national things, you're also on the attack locally and in Pennsylvania, just like the shipyard. I mean, great stuff.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bob. Listen, there's no doubt about it. It's been a busy 8 months. I think President Trump's off to a great start in delivering on his promises. And, you know, the one thing that came out of the campaign, the one thing everybody agrees on is we need to create new jobs, new economic growth and opportunity in Pennsylvania. And so, you know, that's been my focus. And, you know, you don't have to just pass a piece of legislation to get things done. You know, being a senator from Pennsylvania is a big deal. You can use that platform to get big things done. So, you know, since I've been in the Senate, there's four big things. There's the Nippon U.S. Steel deal.
Yeah.
That saved 4,000 jobs in the Mon Valley and created another 10,000. We're going to build a new mill, first new mill in decades in Pennsylvania. This really is going to bring domestic steelmaking back to the front of the line, and a big deal for Western Pennsylvania. There's the Amazon deal, announced $20 billion in two big data centers, announced 6 miles from where I grew up in Berwick, Pennsylvania. I grew up in Bloomsburg. And I made that announcement with the governor. That's something we had both been working on. That's going to be huge for our region in Northeast Pennsylvania, huge for Southeast Pennsylvania. The third thing is this energy summit. I mean, unbelievable, $90 billion of investment, $50 billion in energy infrastructure, transmission lines and distribution capability, $40 billion in data centers. This is going to create, just from that alone, tens of thousands of jobs. The estimates were 70,000 jobs over the next 5 years just from those investments. And then, as you said, Hanwha, which is the Korean firm that bought the Philly shipyard, is bringing the state-of-the-art technology to domestic shipbuilding. Unfortunately, we've let that really dwindle over the last 2 decades. We're only about 3% of the global shipbuilding capability in the world. So Philly shipyard is going to go from making 1.5 ships a year to 20 ships a year, and 5,000 new jobs. And these are great jobs for welders and electricians and pipe fitters and seam fitters, and they pay great money. You can make, coming out of high school, if you get that skill, as a welder, you can, at the age of 22, be making six figures. That's what we need to make Pennsylvania come alive again, and that's what I'm focused on. So, the president's pro-growth agenda is a big part of this, and focus is a big part of it, and working with whoever you need, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter to me, as long as we're delivering for Pennsylvania. That's the plan, and that's the goal.
One thing I noticed when you went to Tobahan Army Depot, they're really, I didn't realize some of the things they were doing. They're really in the forefront of technology. We thought of it as electronic repair. It is so much more than that.
I was super impressed by that. I mean, you start to peel it back and you see that Pennsylvania is uniquely positioned. We're gonna spend hundreds of billions of dollars more in defense. Pennsylvania, defense reindustrialization, Pennsylvania should be at the forefront of that. We've got, as we talked about Philly Shipyard, we've got Toby Hanna, 3,200 employees, as you said, state-of-the-art crypto, focused on drone technology, all sorts of capability as the military reforms itself and evolves, that Toby Hanna can be at the forefront of that. Scranton Ammunition Depot, I went and visited that ammunition factory, in Scranton, and that's got 400 workers there that are working around the clock to deliver on ammunition to support our allies, to support the war in Europe with the attack on Ukraine, but also just to replenish our supply capabilities. In York, we've got BAE that's building the next generation combat vehicle. So Pennsylvania is at the forefront of this, and northeastern Pennsylvania with Toby Hanna, Scranton, and others is
three
really,
different General Dynamics plants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. The Scranton plant is owned by General Dynamics or managed by General Dynamics. So this is a huge area of growth for Pennsylvania, along with energy and the AI revolution. And man, we can turn the page and have Pennsylvania, which frankly, Bob, has been in decline. We've been losing people. Our population is aging. The promise that I made is to try to create an environment and an economy in Pennsylvania where our kids are going to want to either stay here or come back here. That's the goal. And, man, I feel like there's good things happening. There's a lot more to do, but we got some momentum here.
Pennsylvania's Senator Dave McCormick is our guest. Senator McCormick, a lot of people, and there's concern about the AI facilities. I think a lot of it's misdirected. I don't understand some of it. But there are true concerns about them disrupting energy supplies, increasing energy costs, using a lot of water, and obviously increasing the cost for that, which is already pretty expensive. How do you resolve that and still develop these data centers?
Well, first of all, I think it's a period of dramatic change for the country, for Pennsylvania. So I think it's totally legitimate that people are asking these questions and have these worries, and some of the worries are legitimate. Here's the way I see it. I think we're in the middle of a global battle for leadership in energy and leadership in AI. And you sort of have to say those things in the same sentence. Yeah. Because you can't have the AI revolution without energy. And these huge data centers, which are key to winning the AI battle here with China, require enormous amounts of energy. And so America has to win that battle. And Pennsylvania is uniquely positioned to be at the forefront. And we're not just competing, Bob, with China. We're competing with Tennessee and Georgia and South Carolina and Florida and Texas, because they're trying to recruit these companies to come here too, because they create so many jobs. And Pennsylvania is going to win this battle, I think, because we've got this incredible abundant energy that we have to unlock with permitting reform and make it possible to drill and frack and have the pipelines necessary to take our energy out of Pennsylvania. We're a net exporter. We need to increase our energy capacity dramatically. And we also have the skilled labor to build these data centers. And so that's the reason I think it's so great for Pennsylvania. It's going to create so much economic growth and opportunity. It's going to help create opportunity for everybody. And as I said, for our kids to come back or stay here. The three things, that I think are legitimate to worry about is, number one, energy cost, energy demand. Energy demand is going to triple over the next 15 years. It's going to triple because of AI. It's going to triple no matter what we do in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This is happening. And the best way to deal with that is to get capacity, supply. So we need to get permitting reform. The governor needs to embrace this. The federal government, the best way to keep prices down is to have abundant energy, nuclear energy, natural gas, coal, whatever it is. So that's the first way to keep prices down. As you know, this summer, Bob, we're paying the lowest prices in gas that we paid in decades, but we need to keep it that way. The second thing is on the water needs. We're blessed. We have enormous water capabilities in Pennsylvania with all the lakes, and we're of course on with the rivers, the Susquehanna, Delaware River, and ultimately on the Atlantic Ocean. So we're uniquely positioned to have abundant water resources. And then the final thing is job disruption. The AI revolution is going to change the nature of work. And ironically, in Pennsylvania, I think what's going to happen is, in the near term, it's going to create more blue-collar jobs, more building trades jobs, because of all the infrastructure that needs to be built over the next decade. I think the pressure is likely to come on the white-collar jobs and, lawyers and people that have jobs that can be replaced in part by AI. 2/3 of all the kids that graduate from high school in Pennsylvania don't go to college. They're looking for great skilled labor kinds of opportunities. And so I think in the near term, this is going to help us on job creation in Pennsylvania, but, we're going to have to be agile.
And it's coming anyway. It's coming anyway. It's a matter of whether you host it or not. Senator, just my 2 cents on this. I said that that any data center that can provide its own water and more particularly its own energy through building its own power plant should be a very fast go. If they don't do either of those things, then we've got to look rather closely at how it'll affect local populations.
That's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it. And a number of the big projects, if you're one of the big hyperscalers, Amazon or Microsoft, that's going to invest tens of billions of dollars in Pennsylvania, you want your own energy source. So, for example, that's what just happened with Microsoft. Microsoft just did a big deal with 3 Mile Island, where there's dedicated nuclear power that's going to support the data center, and it doesn't put demand on the grid, which is where it would affect the energy price. The other thing, Bob, this, it's a complicated topic, but PJM, which puts added demand on Pennsylvania because of the sharing agreement with other states is a real burden to Pennsylvania because we're a net energy exporter, and the demands of other states, which have had dumb policies that have gotten rid of fossil fuels, have put an incremental risk on us, and that's something that we got to work on. And I think the governor, needs to, and he
needs to wake up.
He needs to step up. Right,
he's proposing data centers and doing ribbon cuttings while he's restricting our energy and giving it to states that refuse to develop their own.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Senator McCormick, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I know everybody loves the job you're doing. I'm not as excited about the bipartisanship, but other than that, I love you. I love you anyway. But really, keep up the great work. Keep us at the forefront. This is important stuff, and it was activity that we never saw before. People, the fact that just the brilliance of you calling it the Energy and Innovation Conference, because they're hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. And listen, anything that brings jobs to Pennsylvania, I think is going to be good for our Commonwealth. And I always appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your listeners. I appreciate you having me, my friend.
Always. Dave McCormick, our senator. Thank you. We'll take a break because it's Bloomberg Money Minute time, because my Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me that it's 9:55 on the dot. Ben Bankus, because we've got a comedian coming up shortly. But great good morning, everyone. 10 a.m. here on a beautiful Tuesday, September 9th. Yeah, my Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me exactly what time it is every time I need to know. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Kenneth Nichols of Mayfield, Joseph Smalley of Pittston, Gene Tronsu of Wanami, Joseph Halliburta, he's from Hanover Township, and the three veterans we honored in the first hour, George Vaneski, Mountaintop, Francis Pantucci, Larksville, and Robert Booth, Sweet Valley. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle by gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you. And you need it. You need it. The world's gone mad. Hey, speaking of chaotic situations, Tyler Cornell's in the studio with the traffic report. It's pretty bad.
It's still really bad. Yeah, road work with a lane restriction on 81 northbound. The road work is starting at exit 180 Music, but right now it's bumper to bumper between exit 175 Pittston and River Street in Scranton right now. And the anticipated end time is about 3:30 this afternoon.
So it's almost the opposite of what we did yesterday.
Yeah, and I thought that was really weird. I thought they would stick to southbound, but now they're doing northbound. And the worst part about this is that they're going to be alternating between north and south until next Thursday. They're going to be doing this. Not even just this week. They'll be doing it next week. So definitely highly encouraged to take some alternate routes if you can find them. There was also another one that I saw right before I came in, 81 north at exit 168 Highland Park Boulevard. That backlog is already at mile marker 165 in Ashley, and the anticipated time for that to end is about 12:30. So not as bad, but thought I should throw it out there in case anybody was in that area.
Well, not at as much length. If you're in it, it's just as bad.
Yeah, it's just as bad. Yeah, but that, yeah.
Thank
so
you,
good
Tyler.
luck.
Appreciate it, my friend. Well, Dusty Slay. He's a comedian. He's coming here September 20th to the Kirby Center. And he aspires to be the voice of comedy for the overlooked, the underappreciated working class people. He's got a special coming out on Netflix, and he's talking about that. It's called Wet Heat. It premiered July 29th. Of course, his event here on the 20th of this month. And just great stuff. It's Working Man was his last event. This time, Wet Heat. But he is with us, Dusty Slay. Dusty Slay's an Alabama native who grew up on lot number 8 of a mobile home neighborhood in the town of Opelika. I think I'm saying it right. He's also co-host of the Nateland podcast. He's got over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube for that. He began his stand-up journey in Charleston, South Carolina, before moving to Nashville and making it a full-time gig, touring across the country. And he literally is all over the country, the night shift tour dates. Really something. Started on July 20th in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And he'll be in Dubuque, Iowa, Friday, December 12th, what's important to us. He'll be in Wilkes-Barre at the FM Kirby Center Saturday, September 20th, and he is with us now. Dusty Slay, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This
and I heard your early. I mean, this is a very good bio that you read, but I'm just trying to be the comedic voice for everyone. I just want to make people laugh. That's all I want to do.
How did you get started in comedy?
I moved to Charleston, South Carolina when I was in my early 20s, and I had no friends, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to take an improv class, and it went great. And then from there, I just ventured into stand-up comedy, and I was selling pesticides for a living, and I hated that. And one day I won a contest. I made $1,000, and I said, you know what, maybe I could make a job out of this comedy thing.
When you were a kid.
And it's really gone a lot farther than I ever thought it would go.
Dusty Slay, a lot of performers, when they were kids, they'd gather the family together or they'd gather the neighbors together and they'd perform in their backyard and all that kind of thing. Did you do those types of things as you were growing up, or did it not come to you till your early 20s?
Yeah, I mean, I was always funny for people, but not in that kind of way. I just situationally funny. But yeah, I mean, it never occurred to me that I could be a stand-up comedian. I was just going about life, and then I did this improv, and improv led to stand-up, and eventually stand-up led to a career.
Amazing stuff. The Wet Heat on Netflix, which premiered July 29th, going very well. Your tour is extensive, so I guess you have made a career out of it. Yeah. Well,
I'm always on tour, and Wet Heat. I'm a mostly clean comic, but Wet Heat was intentionally provocative. But it's just it's a weather joke. I'm talking about weather in the South, how it's hot and humid. But yeah, I mean, I like, I mean, I'm mostly a clean comic. I get, I'm an adult and I have some adult subjects, but, I try to have the kind of comedy that everybody can watch. I mean, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, no matter, any political beliefs that you have. You're not going to be offended by anything I say, no matter which way you lean. I'm just, mainly making fun of myself and ways that I grew up and just having some fun.
A friend of ours, a friend of the program named Joe from Trip Park, he's a huge Dusty fan.
All right.
Tell us give us a little bit of your shtick. Tell us what do you talk about? What are your observations? What's your style?
Well, the best way to get that, I have 3 specials out there. I have 1 on YouTube and 2 on Netflix, and you can watch all 3 of those and then come see me and still get a new hour. But, I got kids now, and I'm talking about, I'm living in a neighborhood. I grew up in a trailer park and live in a neighborhood now, and that surprises a lot of people. I think people look at me and they think I should always live in a trailer park. But, I just kind of talk about that, and it's like, sometimes I feel like if I describe to you what I talk about, you would go, oh. I remember telling a guy one time when I worked with at Home Depot that my comedy was clean, and he goes, oh, whoa, what do you even talk about? And I go, I don't know. I talk about this conversation I'm having with you right now, and make it funny. And but, yeah, I mean, I talk about how I think there's a lot of stores out here who have dirty names. I don't know why sporting goods stores have to be named what they're named. And there's a lot of these out there. I mean, there was a restaurant I went to. It was called Hangover Easy, but they were using the initials of Hangover Easy, HOE, for other things in their restaurant. And I'm in there with my friend and his parents. Barbecue restaurants love doing this. They love a little innuendo. But so I just I go through my life paying attention to what I see, and then I just stay away from politics because, not that I'm not paying attention to it, not that I don't know what's going on, but it upsets people in a comedy environment. And I want to bring people together for as little, as much time as I can.
Well, the late, great Johnny Carson said it best, and I play the cut once in a while here, even though this is a very political show. And he said, that's not my job. He says, I'm an entertainer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's everything is so that it's like, even if you talk about a little something here, everybody's decided what your entire belief system is, and they're all mad at you. And I'm just like, I got various beliefs, but I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the shout out to the troops and the heroes, but I just, in my comedy, I got my own podcast called the We're Having a Good Time podcast, and I talk a lot about the Bible, and but when I'm on stage, I just do comedy.
Dusty Slay, September 20th, when you're here, can you give us a small sample of what people are going to hear?
Well, yeah. I got those store jokes, and honestly, the store jokes that I'm just being very vague about, that's probably the dirtiest comedy I've ever done, and I'm just naming stores that we go into every day. But and I talk about, like I say, having kids, and I talk about how I think pit bulls are wild. People love pit bulls, but one of my favorite new jokes is I say I like a loose pit bull in the neighborhood, and I always think that takes people a moment with that joke, because even people that love pit bulls, they don't want a loose one in the neighborhood.
My dog's ears
I'm talking about how
I have my dog in the studio today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His ears pricked up.
Well, I talk about how I like looking at birds. I say I look at birds. I don't call myself a bird watcher, because there's a difference in between looking and watching. People don't realize that. But they go, hey, you looking at that girl over there? And I go, no, I'm watching her.
How long do you perform? Is your show? How long of a set do you do?
Well, if I'm doing a club, it's about an hour. But I just did a theater show on Thursday, and I did an hour and a half. Some people could say that's too much. But the show was fun. People were enjoying themselves. So I just kept going. The hardest thing for me is starting a show. So once I'm up there, I feel good. But I usually do about an hour 20. But I did a show in Auburn, Alabama, and I did an hour and a half, and it felt good. I love doing comedy, and as long as the audience is not walking out, I don't mind keeping going.
Dusty Slay, he'll be here at the Kirby Center July 20th. This is such an extensive tour, and you mentioned you're doing different types of venues. This is a theater venue here, but you do clubs as part of the deal. You're always on YouTube. You're on Netflix. That's quite a variety of settings for your comedy.
Oh, yeah, I do corporate events. I do colleges. I do the Grand Ole Opry. I've done the Grand Ole Opry like 40 times. I did a corporate event for Cracker Barrel a week before they changed their logo, and I thought, man, the show went so bad they took the cracker off the logo, But actually, it was great. I was in a Cracker Barrel commercial for a while, a national commercial, and the corporate gig was part of the deal. I loved it. I've always eaten at the Cracker Barrel, and I did think it was interesting. The week after I was on there, they changed the logo. I guess it's changed back. I don't know what they're doing, but all I know is I like their chicken and dumplings. That's all I know.
That's right. It's not a diet place.
Right.
We're there. Exactly. We're there to eat.
Yeah.
September 20th at the Kirby Center. An observer, no less an observer than James Carville, said that Pennsylvania is Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and with Alabama in between, which I guess counts some of this area as well. So it might work.
Well, I'm from Alabama, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been all around Pennsylvania, and I don't know that I don't want to. hurt anybody in Pennsylvania's feelings by calling them Alabama. But, yeah, I mean, it's a different place in the city and outside the city. But I feel like that about the whole country. The whole country is basically the same. There's cities and then there's not cities.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And I love them both. I mean, I'm a big fan. I always say I love being in small towns, and I like going to the city too. I'm always afraid in the city, but I do like it.
We got good cops. My son's a cop in Wilkes-Barre. You'll be safe there.
Okay. All right, good. I was just in Milwaukee, and I love Milwaukee. I had great shows, but I was terrified walking downtown. But
well, we welcome you to Northeast Pennsylvania. We appreciate you coming on the program here. September 20th, he'll be at the Kirby Center, Dusty Slay, and we're excited to have you come to town.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show.
All right, my man. Dusty Slay, September 20th, Kirby Center. Be there. We'll be back. At the Bloomsburg Legion, you'll see a beautiful stone carved into it. It says, "What is a veteran?" And then it answers that question. A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. And our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great company, Basiliga Hospitality Today, the event space throughout Lackawanna and Luzerne counties. Joseph Smalley, he passed away at age 85, September 1st. He was from Pittston. He was surrounded by his family at his passing. He's survived by his high school sweetheart and wife of 64 years, the former Nina Argo. Also survived by his 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Joe Smalley, as a graduate of Pittston Area High School, class of 58, he was employed by RCA Corporation as a television repairman and WIA Manufacturing as an electronics technician. Joe retired from Tobyhanna Army Depot. Joseph Smalley was a proud ham radio operator, licensed by the FCC in the highest class of amateur radio operation, founding member of the Murgis Radio Club of Wilkes-Barre. He provided emergency communication services as a ham during the 72 Agnes flood. He served us in the National Guard. He enjoyed drinking a cold beer at the VFW in DuPont. Joseph Smalley. Kenneth Nichols. We lost him September 2nd at age 89. He was from Mayfield. He was the husband of Geraldine Klodzinski Nichols. They were married for 64 years as well. Kenneth was born in Mayfield, graduate of Mayfield High School, class of 53, a retired employee of the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission. He served us in the U.S. Marine Corps 1953 to 1956 during the Korean War. He was a member of the American Legion Post in Mayfield, past president and lifetime member of the Whitmore Hose Company, retired member of the Teamsters Union, a member of the NRA, and he served all the Mayfield junior sports. He's also survived by a daughter, 3 sons, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and was tragically preceded in death by 2 infant children and 2 grandsons, Corey and Matthew. Kenneth Nichols, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Place for events, no matter where you are, no matter what size the event. Old Brook Inn in Springbrook Township, Far Street Tavern, West Scranton, Queen City Tavern, Oliphant, a Terra 519, Scranton Stegmeyer Mansion in Wilkes-Barre, the class of restaurants in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond, the Scranton Art House, and of course, the nightclub in Northeast Pennsylvania, Sergei's, the nightclub, downtown Scranton. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with a high of 75. Tonight, partly cloudy, 50. Wednesday, partly cloudy with chance of a shower, 73. Thursday, sunny, 73. So, nice, well, it's late summer, but early fall weather. Not bad. Yeah. Good riddance, Steve. What idiots. He's canceling his tour. Let's stop living. Because people who are going to make a ton of money have told us the world was going to end. Yeah, we had people like that since the time immemorial telling us the world was going to end, and if we listen to them, we could save it. Well, Rebecca Martino, she's with us. It's Tuesday. It's time, and here she is. Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Bob, I'm doing great. Thank you. This is great timing because I usually zip to work first and then call in, but I was hanging out a little bit longer today. My son and my dad are going golfing. You're a golfer, are you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't get carried away with that characterization, but yeah, I like to golf.
You get out there. Okay. Yeah, they're going to a Mannon this morning, so I hung out and I'm home.
A lot of people still don't know that means no name backwards.
I like that part. And I can imagine the time that they went, oh, wait, I got a great idea. This is what we're going to call it. And then, I mean, it's a great name. It is. The problem is no cell service. That frustrates me a little bit because I like to ask them, how are you doing, guys? How you doing out there? And, but it's a great place if you're looking to golf and not have anyone bother you on your cell phone.
No doubt. By the way, your pal Chauncey's in the studio today, so he's extra excited.
I won't make any funny noises like I usually do when he comes in the store. I'll spare the audience.
Except for one day when it's muddy, and I recommend this to everybody: bring your dog in. The cats. No, you can't do that. But bring your dog in to Stately Pet Supply. Chauncey just loves it.
We thank you for that. We try to make it easy to maneuver and navigate. You can bring your dog in, and Chauncey's wonderful. And then some people that have dogs that maybe don't really love being around other dogs or other people. We can even create little private shopping experiences if you just kind of message me. We meet you, before normal business hours, or just block things out. So all dogs are welcome. We just have to make certain arrangements if your dog doesn't, normally just behave well on a leash, things like that. But yeah, love seeing people's dogs. It helps really put a face to the name because ultimately they're the customer.
Two of the places Chauncey likes to go the most he likes to come here. He loves it down here at the studios, and he loves Stately Pet Supply. He really does.
Well, we have that beef jerky bar right at eye level, too. So a lot of
I know.
I more do that for my own amusement, just to watch people panic in horror, thinking I'll mind or get angry if their dog steals one. It's no big deal. We love it.
He tried
like
this week. He tried this past weekend. Chauncey tried to steal one. I stopped him.
Nah, you keep a good eye on him. So, talking today about dogs, I left a little teaser last week that I was going to talk about itchy dogs, and it was definitely my most successful diner placemat ad ever, where it said "itchy dog?" ? Reoccurring ear infections, biting all four paws, belly trouble, things like that. These are signs that point towards a food sensitivity, and true allergies are pretty rare. So that word is thrown around a lot, but true allergies in dogs are pretty rare, and they would act the same way our allergies would: swelling, respiratory reactions, hives, very immediately after eating, like if you and I had a peanut allergy. So typically what people are talking about when they say, I give my dog chicken and then he itches, is technically a sensitivity. So sensitivities are on a case-by-case basis. I like to take a look at dogs individually and see what may or may not be going on. Sometimes the treat is the problem and the food is fine, but that's the case-by-case thing. So first thing to do is evaluate how long your dog has been itching. If we're trying to figure out, is this a food sensitivity? Is it even related to what he's eating? I want you to look at, is your dog itchy right now and wasn't a few months ago or even a few weeks ago? We have a huge pollen bloom right now. And sometimes it's as simple as just give your dog a bath, ask your vet about Zyrtec and Benadryl and things like that, and some topical things. And just like us, we have fall allergies. Dogs can experience that too. But if this is something more chronic, Absolutely get medical clearance. Make sure it's not a thyroid problem. Make sure your dog doesn't have mites. I can't do any of that stuff. I'm not a veterinarian. But if you're medically cleared of any other explanation, and we're looking at all these problems topically, and you're on the hamster wheel of steroids, antibiotics, shots, pills every day to suppress the immune system's reaction, that's where I really like to get my hands dirty and get in on a case-by-case basis and evaluate what is your dog eating. And that usually is going to point me towards poor gut health. And poor gut health, man, there's so much information in this. I have it all written out trying to cover everything, but I could spread this into weeks of information. There's so much. Gut health, what does it mean? Well, why does my dog have poor gut health? Well, that can come from exclusively processed foods in the diet, very high carbohydrate contents in the food, which mean that turns into sugar. Sugar feeds bad germs. The gut is a city. It really, really is. Think of the metropolis that, could be in your gut. There are bus drivers, lawyers, doctors, clerks, window washers. There are all good guys and bad guys that have to stay in balance. And maybe I'll leave it there. I think we'll talk about how to rebuild gut health next week and how to maybe some finer points that could show you where your dog's gut health was impacted, a lot of antibiotics and things like that, and then how to rebuild. Maybe we'll leave it there and we'll talk about that more next week.
Yeah.
Gut health.
It's very, and it's important because we've gone through bouts of sickness with Chauncey, and you're wondering what is it, what is it, and it's important to know you can handle some of these things yourself.
They are, yeah. Once you're cleared medically of diagnostics that, of course, I could never do, I help you navigate the products. What are the probiotics that have, they say a probiotic on the front, but that was prior to a heat process. So you're not actually getting anything in there. It labels and food laws and little loopholes and opportunities, for companies to charge you for something that you're not actually getting. And you're like, well, why isn't this working? That's where I really like to, that's where we specialize. We're not vets. We're not nutritionists. We're product specialists. And we love to see anybody, except on Mondays because we're closed.
Very nice. Well, we appreciate it. That's why we have you call Tuesdays, because they can run right to Stately Pet.
That's my day off.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Rebecca Martino, Stately Pet Supply, thank you very much, as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the time, as always, Bob. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Rebecca Martino, Stately Pet Supply, Clark Summit, right off State Street. We'll be back. This date, 1956, Murph tells us Elvis made his television debut. Just imagine that. The Ed Sullivan Show, performing his hit Love Me Tender in front of a television audience of 54 million. The next day, record stores were swamped with requests for the single Love Me Tender. You had to go to a record store. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Mother Teresa for September 9th. And she says, at the very beginning, after leaving my convent at Loreto, when I arrived in Calcutta, I was alone. I had only a box and 5 rupees. A man from Air India wanted to give me a nice suitcase to carry the few things I had with me. I said to him, there's no shame in carrying a cardboard box. Mother Teresa continues, but there is no shame in asking when we need guidance or help. The amazing Saint Teresa. Thank you, Mary Regina. So, there's going to be a reunion, and they do it every year, and it's been wildly successful. And joining us is one of the Dunmore greats, Temple University, and then one of the guiding lights at Lackawanna College, Joe Morelli. Joe, how are you?
I'm okay, Bob. How are you today?
Good to have you back. Tell us about this event. Give us the who, what, where, when, and why.
Okay, we're having the 4th annual Golden Bucks reunion on September the 26th. It's a Friday, starting at 1 o'clock at La Bonavita in Dunmore. And it's for all Dunmore High School graduates that graduated more than 50 years ago. But if you graduated earlier than that, you're still welcome to come. We're open to everybody, but
yeah.
It's going to be a great nostalgic trip for us. Again, it's our 4th one, and we get together and we sit by class and see people we haven't seen in years, and reacquaint ourselves, and tell everybody, how good they look.
Do the stories get better, Joe Morelli? Do they get better?
Oh, the stories of, as they say, Bobby, the older you get, the better you were, Yep. And we're all former potential greats.
Joe, I say this. When they talk about my college career, I say, it was just like Rudy. In the movie of the same name, except that the one play I got in, I didn't make the tackle.
Oh, gee. Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, you couldn't write the script like Rudy.
But I'll tell you what, it's a great gang. I hope this encourages other schools to do it. I know, believe it or not, I go to the Scranton Central reunion Thanksgiving weekend every year. And
okay.
They wonder what's he doing here, but I still love it.
What are you doing there? You're a Dunmore boy.
But these are great. These are great events with people that maybe you haven't seen in years, or people you want to see again for sure.
Yes. If you are interested in going, it's a $40. It's a $40 charge. Send your check to Attorney Nick Telly's office at 310 East Strinker Street in Dunmore. He's collecting the reservations for me. And, you get on the list and show up, and we'll have a great time.
That's a guarantee. Joe Morelli, thank you. We'll have you call in
Bob,
again just to remind people of this great event. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
The Dunmore Buck reunion, the 26th, 1 o'clock at Bonavita. Good stuff. It really, it's heartwarming. And I haven't, I'm getting close to 50 years. You don't realize it. I'm class of 79, football 78. And I'm getting really close. How scary is that? Well, as always, I've got to look at my Picardo Jewelers watch. You can see it on live stream if you're looking. And it tells me that it's going to be 10:55 right now. September 9th, 1957, Murph tells us Jerry Lee Lewis had the #1 R&B hit with a whole lot of shaking going on. Bob Cordaro back with you. HVAC dude, he texted in during my conversation with Dave McCormick talking about these amazing jobs that the AI construction. And again, remember, I'm for this 100%, but they've got to be off the grid. They got to build their own power plant. They've got to have their own power source, and they've got to have their own water to cool down these computers. Otherwise, it's going to cause problems. And I understand why people are concerned, and so did our Senator Dave McCormick. By the way, Rodney texts in. He said, Bob LTS, my dog Percy will sometimes wake around 2 a.m., sit and look at me. I've got two choices at that point. Take her out or clean up a mess. I think Chauncey could hang in there, but I'm not trying. I'm with you there. Well, man, Rich McHale texts in. He says, morning, Bob, just an observation. How come we're chastising RFK as a true leader in healthcare, but we got nothing from Congress in the previous administration? An administration that gave us a Secretary of Health that was a man who thought he was a woman and advocates our kids be modeled in his image. Being D these days doesn't indicate a Democrat. It means you're demented. Now, being a Democrat leader certainly means that. They're sick. They have this horrifying murder on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this guy's been in prison forever. What in God's name is that all about? We can't keep somebody in prison or put him in a mental facility if that's what he needs. Scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Electrician says, great interview, Bob. Love Dusty. But he's going to be on a cruise that weekend. But he points out, got to love our Kirby Center. They have some great guests. Dusty Slay, he's very funny. I wanted him to do some routine here for those of you who had never heard of him before. But let me say this. His work is everywhere. You can catch Dusty Slay on YouTube. You can catch him on Netflix. And you'll see that he's a genuinely, deeply funny guy. Again, September 20th at the Kirby. Good stuff. And I don't know if somebody asked what the ticket price is. I don't know if Dusty would know. I saw your text when I was talking to him. I didn't know if he would know, so I was sort of like held back in asking him. What if if you don't know the ticket price of your own event? And if you do, you look greedy. So I didn't ask him, so my apologies. I'm sure it's standard for whatever they charge. Well, I didn't look at my Ricardo Jewelers watch, but now I am, and it's 11:02 and 50 seconds, which means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. We'll come back after that. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Of the drum. Oh my gosh. Great. Good morning, everyone. My Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me that it's 10:09 or 11:09 and 50 here in the great Northeast this beautiful Tuesday, September 9, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man John Basiliga and one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, and 3 who were feted with quilts of valor. Like Gene Transu, Wanami, Joseph Halliburta. He was from Hanover Township. Kenneth Nichols. He was from Mayfield. Joseph Smalley, Pittston. And then 3 veterans who got their quilts of valor. George Vanesky, Mountaintop. Francis Pantucci, Larksville. And Robert Booth, Sweet Valley. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you, because of our commitment to common sense, we will, for the balance of this morning, provide you with a sanctuary of sanity in a world where idiots like Tim Kaine, he was a senator, a vice presidential candidate. He doesn't know what the Constitution says. He doesn't know what the country was founded on. The government gives you rights. Could he be that stupid? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. Wow. That just blows my mind. And so when I think of an idiot or something that's really irritating, I immediately turn to think of something great. And that is an event that is happening. It's a walk and celebration for this year at Kirby Park on the same day as Dusty Slay comes into town, Saturday, September 20th at Kirby Park, Wilkes-Barre. That's why I think I said Kirby Park instead of Kirby Center. And in the studio with me is one of our great marketing and salespeople, Kimberly Greenleaf. And on the blower is Linda Loop. And I've got both of them in stereo. Welcome. And who wants to start first? Let's talk about rhythms and recovery. This is a great event.
I'd like to introduce Linda Loop from Dress for Success, Luzerne County. Linda is a huge asset in the community, empowering women every day to better themselves and have a successful life. So, Linda, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, Linda, tell us about Dress for Success. So, I mean, people are aware of it. They're aware of the name. The name almost describes it all, but doesn't quite get us all the way there. Tell us about it.
No, thank you, Bob, and thanks, Kim, for having me on today. So our mission is to empower women to achieve economic independence, and we do this in 3 ways. First, we provide a network of support. Any woman who's out there in need of help, looking for work or looking to change her life, we want to reach her. Number 2, we do have career-appropriate attire. We have an amazing boutique here in Wilkes-Barre and in Hazleton. And thirdly, we provide the development tools a woman needs to thrive in work and in life. And we say we proudly don't just provide clothing, we do help to change lives. Yeah. And it's that workforce development we do.
I've been to Dress for Success events, and really it is, you say the word empowering, and it's one of those new age words, but you're making people feel better and letting them understand that they can make opportunities for themselves. That's what's so great about it.
Well, that's the magic of what we do. We don't give anybody anything. We just show them how to bring it out in themselves.
Yeah.
and to look in the mirror and to say, you know what, I'm worthy. I can do this. Yeah, life has knocked me down a bit. I've got issues. I've got things, but I can do this. I can recover. I could put my past down and move on and lead an amazing life. And that's what we do best.
Dress for Success, Luzerne County. Linda Loop from that great organization is with us, as well along as Kimberly Greenleaf, who is she's one of our great sales and marketing people here at Odyssey for all of our stations. Kimberly, this Rhythms in Recovery, it's a different event. I like it.
Well, thank you, Bob. I want to give props to Linda because exactly what she said is what she did for me 10 years ago. Yeah. So this is very personal for the both of us and the recovery community. So Rhythms in Recovery is going to honor National Recovery Month, which is in September. So we are in National Recovery Month, and we want to gather at Kirby Park. We have the entire park. We are going to register to walk, which comes with a great free T-shirt, an amazing lunch provided by Pizza Bella Mountaintop.
Nice.
And we have different zones throughout the park and the pavilions.
We love our Pizza Bella.
Yeah, we do, of course. Linda's going to have a raffle zone, so any of those proceeds will benefit Dress for Success. So you'll find that in one of the pavilions with great, amazing donations from Home Depot, Lowe's, our local restaurants. Stegmeyer Mansion is donating as well, so we'll thank Brianna for that. And we'll be able to win great prizes for the holiday in your home. We'll have a mind, body, and spirit zone where Danny is going to perform light meditation and light body workouts. And then our big finale, we're kicking off Lissa off of KRZ is going to be our vocalist and keyboardist.
Oh, she's amazing. She's great.
She's going to perform at 11, and then we're going to go up to the starting line and walk through Kirby Park to celebrate recovery. And then when we get back to the main stage, we have some additional performers. We have Sammy on the keyboard and vocalist as well. We have the Kennedys. We have the Dallas Carter Band. And our headliner is Tori V and the Karma. She is amazing. So everything's going to come together, and we're just going to celebrate. So join us at 10 a.m. at Kirby Park. You'll get to meet myself and Linda and our great radio team and a bunch of volunteers.
What don't you have there?
You, Bob, you. So please join us.
Linda Loop from Dress for Success of Luzerne County. Kimberly just touched on it. One of the groups that you serve are people in recovery, trying to restart their lives, and your organization helps them do that.
Well, it's a personal connection to me. I, with the grace of God and very strong fellowship, on September 21st, I will be celebrating 41 years.
Wow.
Amazing.
I know, right? Isn't that remarkable? And I'm barely 38 years old. So there's that. But this is an important event because when I was young, and I was young when I found my recovery, I started my recovery, I was concerned about, well, what was I going to do? What was my life going to look like? And an event like this shows there's fun, there's celebration, there's life, there's so much more. When we put down that one substance, we get back so much more. And, so something like this, when I love people in recovery, and I love when I see a woman, coming out of jail and going to, rehab, and we pack her a beautiful bag of things that she can take with her with pride and dignity. Yeah. We call them dignity bags. And so she can start her life on the right path and see what's out there, because there's so much wonder in this world, and we want everybody to see that. So, yeah, we're so stoked over this.
Well, for both of you, Kimberly Greenleaf and Linda Loop, we were going out on a Friday night and we said we're going to get somebody to drive my truck, and Eric was in recovery, new friend of mine, and was driving the vehicle. And I said to him, and that's why I want to ask you this as well. Every day, certainly in the beginning for many years, It's something you can't have. It's something you can't get involved in again. It's a struggle. This is not easy.
It comes with a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But it's not that we can't. Today we have a choice, and we choose not to put something in our body that is unable to be used safely.
Yeah.
And
why would I want it? Why would I want that misery back in my life?
Yeah.
You know,
But it's
I
hard
learned
work.
early on.
That's why this support is so necessary.
Yeah, and we talk so much about overdose awareness and suicide prevention. And there are so many people out there that have done this hard work to recover, restore families, children's reunited with their moms. And it's not just about the substance. You can recover from loss, from pain, from depression, from even a medical issue like cancer. So we encourage everybody to register to walk, and that $20 donation goes right directly to Dress for Success, which you can do that at rhythmsinrecovery.com. We're looking for walkers. The first 200 people will receive a free t-shirt and free lunch, and those proceeds will benefit directly so Linda can continue her mission. Please join us. We also will have some bins of hope. So if you want to bring any personal hygiene items, there's so many nonprofits in the area that are struggling and need help. And maybe they're not struggling, but we need more people to step up. We're also looking for more donations for our raffle zone, Bob, so people can drop them off here on Route 315 here at our radio stations. They can also reach out through the Facebook page or the website directly to Linda or myself. So we appreciate your time today, Bob.
Well, this is a big deal. You're not just restoring lives, you're saving lives on top of it with events and programs like this. It's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah, every day is a big deal, and every day is a new beginning. So that's what we celebrate. You know, every day I have a choice to choose my life, and we want to show other people that making that choice is so much better than making the other one.
Yeah. Kirby Park, Wilkes-Barre, Saturday, September 20th. Walk-in restaurant registration and check-in starts at 10 a.m. The event is from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Cabinet guy texting in, he says that Tori V is a great local band, adding to just saying. And then between that and Lissa from KRZ, that's tremendous entertainment.
We have a lot of women entertainment. We stuck in a all-male band, the Kennedys. But Tori V performed down at Rock in the River.
The Kennedys are happy about that.
Yeah. Tori V performed at Rock in the River, and when I heard her voice, I was just like, who's that?
Yeah.
And I ran to the stage, and her and I spoke for the last couple months, and she's very excited to perform. Lindsay with the Dallas Carter Band will also be joining us, so she just put out a new single, so we're excited about that. So the music part of celebrating recovery comes with deep passion because music just speaks to the soul. So we just encourage everybody to join us, even families. Please come out to our walk-in celebration and just have a great time.
Great stuff. Linda Loop, thank you. Kimberly Greenleaf, thank you. Kirby Park, Wilkes-Barre is the place. 10 a.m. Saturday, September 20th is the time. Rhythms in Recovery Walk and Celebration. Great stuff. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Bob.
Both of you.
Thank you, Bob. It was great. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Stones, Murph tells us on this date, 1965, they had the number one hit in the UK with Satisfaction. How about that Rhythms and Recovery event? And Dress for Success, Luzerne County. Great stuff. September 20th. Remember that. Starting at 10 in the morning. Yeah, proud to do that. Hey, somebody texted in, Bob, the mayor and governor of Chicago, Illinois, would rather have more innocent people die daily than give President Trump credit for stopping the senseless murders. That's your new Democrat Party. Openly support death and destruction. How can anyone vote for a Democrat at this time in history? So sad. I agree with you. These people are insane. I thought Tim Kaine had a brain. I really did. You do your liberal, okay. You do your partisan stuff. But he's just, you heard what I played at the top of the hour. He is a constitutional illiterate. That's stupidity beyond question. That means he's never read the Constitution or that he cannot read, much like students in Democrat-run cities. Wow. Joe from Edwardsville says, Big Pharma and the political money that flows from it relies on continuous and increasing consumption, often pushed by government mandate. RFK is calling for less of that for the benefit of public health, but that is hitting them where it hurts. It's not just them. I mean, they're doing their job. The politicians aren't doing theirs. We talked about it this morning. You know, the morning show. But Florida's putting in this the elimination of vaccine mandates. It doesn't, and they're saying, well, a majority of people, you know, they're going to want these shots if something happens again. Well, nothing is stopping anyone who wants the shots and the vaccinations. Nobody's stopping you. We're just not going to have the government force other people to do it. And you know what it does? Here's the positive benefit of it. I thought about this a lot, actually. Because I accepted my vaccinations as a kid without question. You just got them, period. That's it. Marched in line, everybody got that big hole. What, they'd give us 12 shots at once? That big scar in your arm, your left arm. What if you were a lefty? I think they still shot it in your left arm. Anyway, it gives people, parents, families, a moment to say, do I really want this? Let me look it up. Let me see if I object. Let me be a thinking parent. Let me talk about whether I want my kid to get, 50 shots? Something ridiculous on the CDC schedule. I'm telling you, this bureaucracy, they forget completely what their mission is and is supposed to be, and it becomes one of self-service. Thank God for RFK. Thank God for Trump giving him the leeway to fire off at these clowns. And that's what they are. And there's a lot of what a great team he has at Health and Human Services. It gets you worked up. It really does. Slick says, using a name I won't use, he says LTS. They have such TDS, it's unbelievable. I bet if Trump mandated COVID shots tomorrow, they would be against them. I guarantee it, Slick. I guarantee it. The same people who are demanding you carried around your COVID card don't want voter ID. One of our great listeners pointed out that insanity. And now we know from listening to idiots like Tim Kaine, he was a governor of a state, a multi-term governor, multi-term senator, and he does not even have a clue about the Constitution. The battle is over. The war goes on. You better believe it. We'll be back with our Veterans Tribute after this. If you go to the Bloomsburg Legion, they've got a stone out front. It says, "What is a veteran?" A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. And our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. And today we feature one of his great companies, the Place for Events, Basiliga Hospitality. Gene Transu, he was just 57 when we lost him September 1. He was from Wanami. He was born in Nanacoke, graduate of John S. Fine High School in that great town. He then enlisted and served us in the United States Navy. Gene enjoyed anything outdoors, especially riding his quad, side-by-side, and motorcycles. Surviving, in addition to his parents, are his sons, his grandchildren, and many other family members. Gene Transu. Joseph Halliburton. He died August 31st. He was 82. He was from the Corncrest section of Hanover Township. Born in Wilkes-Barre, he was employed by the Tobyhanna Army Depot and Tryon Industry. He proudly served us in the United States Marine Corps. And then later, in addition, the Army Reserves, where he dedicated 23 years of honorable service. He loved toy collecting. He was a kind soul who had a smile for everyone. Preceded in death tragically by his son, Joseph. He's survived by his loving wife, the former Anna DeMorat, with whom he shared 29 years of marriage. His daughter, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, and many other family members. Joseph Halliburton, our great veterans, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Basiliga Hospitality, the place for events, from family gatherings to small celebrations to major corporate events. They can handle it all. Between the Old Brook Inn, the Far Street Tavern, Queen City Tavern, Scranton Art House, Atera, Stegmeyer, two of the best restaurants in the world, the Sergei's, the nightclub. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with a high of 75. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 50. Wednesday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a shower, 73. Thursday, sunny, high 73. The box tops. Murph says they moved from number 15 to number 5 with their hit The Letter. This date, 1967. Bob K texts in, Bob, the morning show was complaining about Trump that we might have to pay back almost $1 trillion in tariffs that we brought in. Well, it's not that much, first of all. No praising Trump for bringing in the money. They're literally sick with TDS. LTS back at you. They are. What are you going to do? We've tried treatment. We've tried shock treatment. We've tried everything. And we tried common sense. We tried logic. We tried facts. We tried truth. We tried reality. All of these things were tried on the morning show, and none of it worked. Somebody texted, Bob, it was in the congressional hearing, 76 jabs by 18 years old. The listener concludes, way too many. Few would disagree. And Chuck from Carbondale takes it, Bob, those that are yelling we demand mandates receive big money from big pharmaceutical companies. That needs to stop, and the CDC needs to be cleaned out I agree 1,000%. 1,000%. Listen, let's go back to the tariff argument for a second. There is an argument that's not senseless that Trump does not have or can't present an emergency to allow him to impose these. But the Supreme Court, and I've got ultimate confidence, if that's what they decide, that's what they decide. I've got faith in the majority. Now, if they do, however, I doubt there's going to be a payback. I think they'll come to a practical resolution to the issue. So, I mean, again, it's the sky was falling when we imposed the tariffs. Now the sky will be falling for the left when if the tariffs are made illegal. There's no winning. You can't try to win with people with Trump derangement syndrome. Rich in West Pittston says, Bob LTS, in my humble opinion, I think it's imperative we stop calling it the COVID vaccine. I agree. Instead, maybe call it the COVID flu shot. The libs jump on the word vaccine, then use it against our side by saying we're against all vaccines. Rich, common sense. Thank you. Common sense. I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. And by the way, did you get a kick out? I got a kick out of Joe Pesci from Casino. Anyway, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Well, I see it's 11:54. That means that it doesn't matter what kind of Picardo watch you have, Picardo Jewelers watch. You can have Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, or a Picardo's model like I have that I'm showing on the live stream. I love this watch. I love this watch. Well, that's the Animals. They moved from number 25 to number 10 with their hit San Francisco Nice. Murph says this date, 1967. And 1971. Remember the Attica thing? Well, some of you do. I remember it. I was young, 10 years old. And I remember it very well. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Dangerous people in prison. I can assure you of that. Oh, Lordy. Well, let's go quickly. Andrew from Jersey. Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, the morning show, they probably believed President Obama when he said, if you like your health care, you can keep your health care. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. But speaking of the one-sided reporting, I watched the Bernie Madoff on Netflix, and they only highlight Reagan, deregulations, but they leave out, there's not one word. Bill Clinton was the one that removed the Glass-Steagall Act.
Yeah.
And they blame the banks exclusively, not the Democrats who supported the Community Reinvestment Act. Even Senator then Obama funded it. Senator Kerry, Senator Clinton, and you remember Barney Franks, they promoted those subprime loans.
Yep.
So it wasn't only the banks, it was Democrats. And as bad as Bush was with the Iraq War, they were trying to stop that through legislation. It was voted down 17 different times. And Clinton actually admitted that they were wrong in an interview.
I'm watching something called The Morning Show, Apple TV. And, I mean, their bias is so it's actually ridiculous. So, yeah, you can't do much about it. Although I'll give Netflix some credit. I was just, I don't know where I heard this even, but when Dave Chappelle was doing trans jokes, they said, hey, it's comedy. We're not going to cut him. Now, maybe it was a monetary decision, but, you know, who knows, right?
You're right. Probably.
All right, my man. Thank you. Always a pleasure. We're finishing the horrific song, but a great commemoration. Horrific event, but a great commemoration. Tears in Heaven. One, Murph tells us, best male video on MTV's Music Video Awards. This date, 1992. And it commemorates his child falling out the 52nd or around the 50th floor window of his apartment in New York City. Oh, my God. Horror of horrors. And it's a beautiful, touching, poignant song. And we'll mention our veterans at that point. Joseph Haliburta, Corncrest section of Hanover Township. Gene Transu, Wanami. Kenneth Nichols, Mayfield. Joseph Smalley, Pittston. And 3 veterans who are still, thank God, with us. Honored with Quilts of Valor. George Vanesky of Mountaintop. Francis Pantucci of Larksville. And Robert Booth of Sweet Valley. Well, we're out of time. The Sue Henry Show is next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. Join me in listening to them. You know it's great to be with you guys. Always love it. Always enjoy it. We thank 2 of our great sponsors, Picardo Jewelers and Basiliga Hospitality and John Basiliga. 2 places I could wholeheartedly endorse. And by the way, I don't ask for it. I don't want anything or get anything for free. I love these places because of what they do for all of their customers. I'm not getting any special treatment. I just love the people I talk about. Absolutely love it. don't forget about this Dress for Success in Wilkes-Barre. The Rhythms, the event on September 20th. It was great having them in to talk about it. Guys, we're going to leave it here for now because no matter what I say, do, or want to do, we've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And we do so, and we tell you, God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow. Looking forward to it and hope to do it. Have a great afternoon.